At 4:03 a.m., my corridor camera caught a woman leaning against my doorframe like she'd been dropped there. Elena Reyes, barefoot. Navy dress wrinkled like she'd slept in it, a pale pink office vest thrown over it like armor. One tear track dried on her cheek. In her hand, a thin folder of documents bent at the corners, gripped too tight to shake. I didn't open the door right away. I watched the feed. Then she lifted her arm and pointed not at my door, but past me toward the street. I moved to the peephole. I saw the glow of street lights and the wet shine of asphalt. Across the road at the far curb, a black sedan sat with its lights off, engine idling just enough to fog the air. Elena's voice came through the door, small and controlled. "He's back." My hand stayed on the deadbolt. "Julian Vance?" I asked. She swallowed. Her eyes didn't blink. "Yes." I opened the door. The hallway light hit her face. She didn't step in until I stepped aside, and even then she moved, like she was entering a room with tripwires. Her gaze flicked to my corners, to my ceiling, to the smoke detector. She wasn't being dramatic. She was mapping threats. I was already pulling my phone up, already bringing up a secure note with the checklist I never admitted existed. Shoes, bag, keys, Faraday. Elena watched my hands like she was watching a surgeon. "You knew this would happen," she said. "I planned for it," I corrected. She stared at the scar on my knuckle. Not a romantic stare, a practical one. Like she was measuring how often those hands had been used to solve violence. Outside, the sedan's windshield caught a passing headlight. A brief flash, then darkness again. Elena's lips tightened. "He can't keep doing this." "He won't," I said, and it wasn't a promise. It was a plan. I grabbed a matte black Faraday bag from the shelf by the door and tossed it to her. "Phone, watch, any keys with RFID. She hesitated for half a second, then obeyed. Not because she was weak, because she was smart enough to pick the fastest path to safety. When she dropped her phone in the bag, swallowed the signal like a coffin, I locked my door, slid the secondary bolt, and pulled the hallway camera feed to my laptop. Elena followed me in one hand, still raised finger angled toward my window, like she was holding the world at bay. My apartment wasn't cozy. It was functional. Cables, monitors, a soldering station, a half-disassembled router on the counter. There was a couch that looked like it had been purchased by someone who feared comfort might make him soft. Elena's gaze tracked the mess of cables like it offended her. "That's a fire hazard," she said. "It's a battlefield," I replied. She took one step closer to my desk, leaned in, and with zero hesitation started gathering my cable runs into a tighter bundle. Her fingers were steady. Her breathing calmed as the chaos became ordered. "Battlefields still have logistics," she said, and for the first time since she arrived, something like a flicker of humor crossed her face. It was tiny. It was real. Then the sedan outside rolled forward 2 feet. Stopped. Rolled again. Stopped. A man playing patience like a weapon. I pulled the building's exterior camera feed, then the street camera feed I had access to through a friend's consulting gig for the Neighborhood Watch Association. The sedan's plates were washed out, on purpose angled, obscured the kind of detail that said the driver wasn't just a rich guy with lawyers. He was someone who understood surveillance. Elena wrapped my cables neatly and exhaled. "He knows you're watching." "Let him," I said. She turned to me, eyes sharp. "Why are you helping me, Kieran?" The question was a blade. It demanded honesty without tenderness. I didn't answer with feelings. I answered with facts. "Because Vance doesn't stop once he decides you belong to him," I said. "Because he's already tried the legal route. If he can't win on paper, he'll win with leverage." Elena's jaw tightened. "You've dealt with him. I've dealt with men like him," I said. She looked at my desk again. "And you're—" "What a hacker, I'm a systems architect," I said. Then I nodded toward her. So are you. You build structures that don't fall. Her eyes narrowed like she was deciding whether that was respect or manipulation. A knock hit my door, hard, fast, then gone. Elena flinched. I didn't move. I clicked to the peephole camera. Empty hall. A shadow already retreating down the stairwell. On my monitor, the corridor camera caught something different. A small object sliding across the floor and stopping at my threshold. A business card. Elena stared at it like it was a snake. I opened the door 2 inches with a chain still on, hooked the card with a pen, and pulled it in. Vance and Harlow, LLP. Elena read. Her voice turned flat. His lawyers. On the back, in neat print, your deadline is 48 hours. Elena's shoulders tensed, but she didn't crumble. She walked to my kitchen, poured herself a glass of water without asking, and drank like she was reclaiming a right. I watched her. Not with hunger, with assessment. She had agency. She'd just been cornered. What did he offer? I asked. Elena set the glass down. He didn't offer. He demanded details. She opened her clutch and pulled out a folded letter. It wasn't romantic stationery. It was legal paper with a seal, an integrity clause notice. They're saying my latest project is compromised, she said. That I violated the clause. That if I don't cooperate, they'll freeze my accounts and pull my license. I took the letter, scanned the language. My eyes caught the poison line, a private arbitration threat tied to a non-disclosure agreement. A cage built from contracts. You can fight it, I said. I tried, she said. My counsel says Julian will drag it out until I'm broke. And he knows something else. She pulled a second item from her clutch. A photo printed on glossy paper. Not nude, not explicit. Just a moment. Elena leaving a building late at night. A shadow behind her. A message, I see you. My jaw tightened, and I hated that my body responded before my mind did. Heat, pressure, the kind that wanted to break something. I didn't slam my fist. I didn't swear. I stood up, walked to my sink, and ran cold water over my hands like I was cooling machinery. The faucet hissed. My knuckles went pale. Elena watched me do it. She didn't ask why. When I turned back, my voice was steady. Okay, I said. We do this clean. Elena's eyes flicked toward the window again. Can we just leave? She asked. I shook my head. Not tonight. If we run, he chases. If we call the police, he plays the arbitration card and buries you in civil dispute paperwork. And if we go public without proof, he frames you as unstable. Elena's throat bobbed. So what do? I opened a drawer and pulled out a slim mirrored compact, my only vanity item bought for one purpose. I placed it by the window at an angle. Elena frowned. Reflection, I said. We see him before he sees us. I pulled a secondary camera feed from a unit across the street and looped the corridor camera so if anyone approached my door again, the feed would hold on an empty hallway for 30 seconds, long enough to spot them without tipping them off. Elena watched the screens populate. Her expression shifted from fear to focus. You've done this before, she said. I've had to, I replied. I pointed to the house map on my wall, a crude hand-drawn schematic of my unit and the building exits. Elena stepped closer, studying it. You drew this, she asked. For contingencies. She nodded once. Then she surprised me. Give me a marker, she said. I handed her one. Elena took the schematic and began adding clean lines, load-bearing points, sight lines, choke points, where someone could force entry, where we could move. She wrote numbers beside doors. She drew a path that avoided windows. Then she circled the back stairwell. If we have to move, you can funnel him here, she said. He can't see around this corner. It wasn't helplessness. It was partnership. My chest tightened. Not romance. Recognition. A soft ping hit my phone. Marcus, you awake, your building feed just spiked. I didn't answer with words. I sent a single screenshot of the business card. 3 dots appeared immediately. Marcus, Vance is escalating. Don't go solo. I'm 10 minutes out. Elena saw the name on my screen. Marcus, I nodded. Friend. He talks like he doesn't care. He cares too much. Elena's mouth twitched. Lucky you. Before I could respond, another ping. Unknown number, stop hiding her. Elena's breath hitched. I didn't flinch. I dropped my phone into the Faraday bag and sealed it. No more incoming, I said. We control the channel. By 5:12 a.m., Elena was sitting on my couch with a borrowed hoodie, mine too big, her navy dress still visible beneath. She looked like someone who refused to become a victim, even when the world offered her that role on a silver tray. I set a bowl of instant oatmeal in front of her. Not romantic, not perfect. Food. She stared at it. That's breakfast, it's survival, I said. She took one bite, then another. Then her shoulders loosened by a fraction. I opened my laptop and began pulling public filings. Vance's shell companies, his foundation, his contracts with Elena's firm, the arbitration board members who owed him favors. Elena watched, then leaned forward. I can get you internal logs, she said. You have access, I asked. She nodded. Not from home. But I have a friend. Who? Elena hesitated. Then she said it like she trusted the decision, not the person. Sarah, my assistant. I raised an eyebrow. She's loyal, she hates Julian. Elena said. He tried to mentor her. She saw his smile up close. She knows what it costs. I nodded once. Call her. Elena reached for the Faraday bag, paused, and then looked at me. Is it safe to pull my phone out? Not on your carrier, I said. We'll use a clean device. I walked to a closet and pulled out a sealed burner phone, new SIM, no metadata. I handed it over. Elena's eyes widened. You keep those. I keep options, I said. She dialed. Sarah answered on the second ring, voice hushed and alert. Elena, Elena, she breathed like saying the name was an act of rebellion. I'm safe, Elena said. I need something. Silence. Then Sarah's voice sharpened. Tell me. I need the access logs from the Integrity Clause audit, the ones Julian's lawyers referenced. Sarah didn't ask why. She didn't moralize. She just moved. I can do that, Sarah said. But he's watching The Office. Elena looked at my schematic, then at me. I made a small gesture, keep it short. Sarah continued. He put a new security guard on the floor. Not building security, his security. My jaw tightened. Name's tall guy, earpiece. Doesn't belong here, Sarah said. And there's a courier list for tonight. A gala, Julian's gala. Elena's eyes hardened. He wants me there. Sarah exhaled. He wants you cornered in public so you can't scream. Elena's hand clenched around the burner phone. Then she looked at my desk, at the cables she'd organized at the monitors. Sarah, Elena said, voice firm. Do not get caught. If he flags you, you leave. You hear me? A pause. Then softer, I hear you. Agency. Mutual. Elena ended the call and set the phone down. Her hands didn't shake. They were clenched, but steady. That was good, I said. Elena blinked. Good. You gave her a choice, I said. You didn't drag her into your fire? Her throat tightened. She nodded once small. A second knock hit my door. This one didn't have menace. It had weight. I checked the corridor feed. A man stood there, holding a slim black case. Marcus. He wore a jacket that looked too casual for the contents he carried. His hair was messy, like he'd slept for 3 hours and decided he could out-stubborn the sun. He stared into my camera and lifted 2 fingers in a lazy salute. I opened the door. Marcus stepped in, eyed Elena, and stopped short. "So you're real," he said to her like he'd expected her to be an urban legend. Elena lifted her chin. "And you must be Marcus." Marcus tossed the black case onto my table with a thud. "Loyal. Sarcastic," he said. "Kieran's only friend who hasn't tried to kill him." I ignored him. "What did you bring?" Marcus popped the case open. Inside a compact network bridge, 2 microcams, a small directional mic, and a hard drive the size of a deck of cards. "Elena's friend Sarah is moving," Marcus said. "So I moved too. This is a clean drive with an air-gapped shell. If Vance tries to sniff it, he gets nothing." Elena's gaze locked on the drive. Marcus noticed. His sarcasm faded half a degree. "And before you ask," Marcus said, "yes, I'll say it. This guy is obsessive." Elena's brows rose. "Obsessive?" Marcus pointed at me. "He pretends he's not. But he lives like the world ends every morning." My jaw tightened. Marcus leaned in closer, voice lower. "Kieran, you're not invincible. Vance isn't just a creep with money. He's a man with a machine. And he's desperate." "I know," I said. Marcus shook his head. "No. You know academically. I know practically." I checked Vance's private security payroll. He's been paying off-duty cops under consulting contracts. He has eyes that won't show up on your feeds. Elena's face went pale, but she didn't step back. She stepped closer. "How do we stop him?" she asked. Marcus looked at her, then at me. Then he sighed. "You stop him by making him afraid of prison," Marcus said. "Not embarrassment, not bad press. Prison. The kind with concrete." I looked at the hard drive. A new plan formed like a blade being forged. By noon, Elena was in my chair typing. I'd given her a sandbox environment, isolated, no external connections. The code she wrote couldn't leak, even if it tried. She wasn't just watching me work anymore. She was building with me. "You're writing your own security layer," I said. Elena didn't look up. "I'm tired of being told to wait for someone to save me." Her fingers moved fast. Clean. Precise. She wrote a small script that randomized camera ping intervals and created a ghost pattern to confuse any passive surveillance. It wasn't flashy. It was smart. Marcus sat on my couch, scrolling through a tablet. He watched Elena for a moment, then smirked. "She's scarier than you," Marcus said. Elena glanced at him. "I heard that, good." Marcus replied, "Fear is honest." Elena's mouth twitched, almost a smile, almost not. Then she pointed at my desk. "Kieran, your cable management is still a crime." I looked. She had already tightened it into clean loops. Marcus laughed once. "He lets you do that, wow. She's dangerous." Elena didn't dignify him with an answer. She just slid a labeled strip onto one cable cam loop. The warmth that spread through the room wasn't romance. It was stability. It made my shoulders drop without permission. Marcus noticed. His eyes narrowed, not teasing now. "See," he said quietly, "you're changing." I ignored him. But I didn't correct him. At 3 to 18 p.m., Sarah sent the logs. She didn't email. She didn't text. She dropped a physical envelope at a coffee shop locker, then sent coordinates through the burner. When Marcus and I arrived, the envelope was taped under a metal shelf like contraband. Inside were printed screenshots and a USB stick wrapped in foil. Elena sat in the car watching the street. "Sarah did this?" she asked. "She did it smart," Marcus said. "She also left her building badge at her desk and clocked out early. If Vance checks, she looks normal." Elena exhaled like her lungs had been locked for hours. "I'll make sure she's safe," Elena said. "You will," I agreed. Back at my apartment, we opened the logs in the sandbox. There it was. Integrity clause violations fabricated. access attempts from an IP range tied to a Vance shell company, an audit trail rewritten, and something worse, a payment ledger embedded in a metadata field disguised as maintenance notes. Bribes. Not rumors, not feelings, numbers, dates, names. Marcus whistled low. That's prison. Elena's face turned hard. He used my project as cover. Yes, I said. And he threatened you to keep you quiet. Elena looked at the hard drive Marcus brought. What happens if we show this? She asked. We don't show it, Marcus said. We make him believe we will. Elena's gaze met mine. At the gala. I nodded. The gala, I said. In public. Where his ego is loud. Where his security is close. Where he can't quietly erase us. Marcus frowned. You're betting he panics. I'm betting he can't handle losing control, I said. Elena swallowed. Then she sat up straighter. Then I'm going, she said. No, Marcus said immediately. That's how people die. Elena's eyes turned to steel. I'm not hiding behind you while you gamble with my life. If we end him, I'm there. Marcus looked at me clearly, saying, tell her no. I didn't, because the only way this worked was if Elena stayed a person, not a package. We do it with rules, I said. Elena nodded. Rules. Faraday bag for everything I said. Mirror check at every reflective surface. Camera loop on our approach route. And you never get isolated. Elena's eyes softened just a fraction. And if he tries, my voice dropped. Then he learns what it costs to corner you. The gala took place at the Vance Conservatory, glass walls, expensive plants, and too much light for a place built on secrets. Elena arrived in the navy dress from last night, freshly pressed, now her hair pinned back with a clean line of control. She looked like a woman who had been hunted and decided to become a trap. Marcus had insisted on coming in person. You want me to stay home and bite my nails, he'd said. I don't own nails. He wore a suit that fit like he hated it. His earpiece sat under his hair. His sarcasm was muted by the reality in his eyes. Kieran stayed at the edge of the crowd, near a mirrored column. Reflection gave me angles. The compact mirror in my palm gave me more. Julian Vance finally noticed Elena. He crossed the room like he owned the oxygen. He was handsome in the way predators are clean-polished, confident, because consequences had never touched him. Elena, he said, smile, bright eyes, empty. You came. Elena lifted her chin. You invited me. I summoned you, Vance corrected softly. And you answered. Kieran stepped closer, not rushing, not dramatic. Just taking position. Vance's gaze shifted to me. And this must be your consultant, Vance said. The little ghost in my systems. You don't know what I am, I said. Vance's smile widened. I know what you think you are. A protector. Elena didn't move. She didn't hide behind me. I'm here because you lied, Elena said, and because you threatened my life to protect your theft. Vance chuckled. Theft? I'm a philanthropist. Marcus across the room murmured in my ear through the bone conduction mic. Security count 8. 2 armed, 1 off-duty cop. Sarah's list matches. I didn't look around. I didn't give away that I wasn't alone. I reached into my inside pocket and pulled out the hard drive Marcus's air-gapped shell wrapped in black tape. Vance's eyes flicked to it. His smile didn't change, but his pupils tightened. What is that, he asked. A decision, I said. Elena's hand slid into my elbow. Not grabbing, anchoring, mutual signal. Vance's gaze moved to Elena's hand. A flash of anger. You brought toys, Vance said. No, I replied. I brought evidence. Vance laughed softly. Evidence of what? An IP address, a ledger. You think a judge cares about your little screenshots. I held the drive between 2 fingers like it weighed nothing. This isn't screenshots, I said. This is your financial spine. The bribe ledger. The offshore transfers, the contractor payouts, the arbitration board kickbacks. Vance's face didn't change, but something behind his eyes did. Fear, not of scandal, of a cell. Marcus's voice tightened in my ear. He heard offshore. He's calculating flight risk. Elena's voice stayed calm. You used my project to hide your crimes. Vance's smile faltered for half a second. Then he leaned closer, voice velvet. You don't understand, he murmured. If I go down, I take everyone with me, including you. I lowered the drive slightly. Then don't go down, I said. Walk away. Drop the arbitration. Stop stalking. Publicly clear, Elena. Or this goes to federal investigators tonight. Vance's jaw clenched. His eyes flicked to the nearest security man. He was measuring whether he could silence us. In public. I kept my stance relaxed. Calm authority. Vance's smile returned too fast. You're bluffing, he said. You don't have the courage. I tilted my head. Try me. Elena's fingers tightened once on my arm. Then she let go and stepped forward. I've already signed a statement, Elena said. Sarah has copies. So does my attorney. If anything happens to me, it triggers an automatic release. That wasn't a lie, because we made it real. Sarah, from across the room, met Elena's eyes and gave the smallest nod. Vance's mouth opened. Closed, his fear turned sharp. You think you can do this to me? Vance whispered. In my house, I think you've done worse to others, Elena said. And you've never been forced to pay. For a moment, the room felt like it held its breath. Then Vance smiled again, but it was wrong. You're both making a mistake, he said, and he walked away. Marcus's voice snapped. He's not leaving. He's going to his private office. That's where he keeps a peace. Elena's face tightened. A gun. I nodded once. This was the pivot. Vance had tried law first because law was clean. Now he'd heard federal and offshore and realized law could put him in concrete. A lawsuit couldn't save him. A bullet could. We moved, not running, not panicking. We took the service corridor Sarah had mapped. Cameras were looped on our route. Marcus did it remotely, tapping into the building's maintenance network with the bridge he'd brought. Loops live, Marcus murmured. 30 seconds repeating. Keep moving. Elena walked between me and the wall, her shoulder almost brushing my arm, not because she needed to be held, but because position mattered. At the corner, I placed my compact mirror out first. The reflection showed the hallway beyond. Empty. We advanced. The door to Vance's private office was half open. Light spilled out like a trap. I held Elena back with one hand at her waist, safe zone, firm, not aggressive. She didn't fight it? She leaned in, a quiet yes. Marcus's voice tightened. He's inside. He just armed up. Kieran, he has a line on you. How do you know? I whispered. I'm in his security feed, Marcus said. He has a private cam in the office. He thinks it's secure. I breathed once slow. Then I pushed the door open with my shoulders stayed low and used the mirror to catch the office layout. Vance stood near his desk, handgun in hand, suit jacket, open, breathing too fast. He looked like a man who had never held consequence, and suddenly felt it in his palm. You really came? He said. Elena's voice cut through, steady. I came to end this. Vance's eyes flicked to her. Something twisted in his face. You were supposed to need me, he hissed. You were supposed to beg. Elena didn't react. She stepped forward one pace. I'm not begging, she said. I'm documenting. She lifted her hand, holding a small device Sarah had slipped her. A digital recorder. Vance's face tightened. You think audio matters, Vance snapped. I'll bury you. I raised the hard drive. You'll bury yourself. Vance's gun lifted. Time slowed the way it does when a line is crossed. I moved first, not toward the gun, toward the angle. I kicked a rolling chair into Vance's line. It crashed into his desk, knocking a lamp sideways and throwing light into his eyes. Elena moved too, exactly as we'd planned. She went low-slid behind the desk corner, out of direct line. Partner. Vance fired. The shot ripped into drywall where Elena's head had been a second earlier. Marcus's voice barked in my ear. He's firing. I'm calling emergency. No, wait, his off-duty cop is on payroll. You need a clean channel. Do it, I said. Marcus cursed softly. I'm spoofing a building alarm. Fire protocol. Everyone evacuates. Security gets flooded. A second later, the hallway alarm blared. Vance's eyes widened. His gun wavered. What did you do? He demanded. I didn't answer. I grabbed the desk's metal letter tray and flung it sideways. It hit a glass shelf. Shattered. Noise. Chaos. Distraction. Vance turned his head for half a second. That half second was all Elena needed. She reached up and yanked the Ethernet cable from Vance's private camera hub, one clean pull. The monitor flickered, went dark. Vance's advantage, his hidden eyes, died in Elena's hand. Healing ladder. Control reclaimed. Vance roared and fired again. The bullet punched into my bookshelf, spraying paper and plastic. I closed distance in 2 strides, slammed my shoulder into Vance's gun arm, and drove him backward into the wall. His gun clattered to the floor. He reached for it with his free hand. I stomped it away. Vance swung at me, wild, desperate. He wasn't trained, he was entitled. I caught his wrist twisted and pinned him hard against the wall. My voice stayed cold. This is what happens, I said, when you confuse fear with ownership. Vance spat in my face. Elena stood up behind the desk recorder, still running. Say it, Elena demanded. Say you framed me. Vance laughed, breathless. Framed, you think you're special. Elena stepped closer, eyes, bright tear track still visible like a scar. I'm not special, she said. I'm done. Vance's eyes flicked to the hard drive again. Panic returned. You don't have it, he hissed. You don't have the real one. I held it up inches from his face. This one is enough. Marcus's voice came through tight, focused. Kieran's security is inbound. Some are his, some are building. You've got 90 seconds. Copy, I murmured. Elena pressed the recorder closer. Say it, Julian. Vance's jaw worked. He looked like a man being strangled by his own pride. Then he hissed, fine. I altered the audit. I paid them. I did what I had to. Elena's breath shook once. Not from weakness, from the release of truth finally having shape. I pulled a zip tie from my pocket, Marcus's kit, and bound Vance's wrists behind his back with brutal efficiency. Vance strained. You can't hold me. I'm not holding you, I said. The law is. Marcus's voice returned softer, almost relieved. Fire alarm cleared the ballroom. Sarah's out. Cops are arriving, real ones. I routed the call through a federal dispatch channel. No local interference. Marcus had just closed his subplot. He wasn't just snarking from a distance. He was watching my back. And he'd chosen to. Elena looked at me, eyes locked. A mutual signal passed between us without words. I stepped aside and let her walk out first. Not because she needed protection, because this was her exit to take. The aftermath wasn't a montage. It was paperwork, statements, evidence logs, federal agents who didn't smile. Sarah sat in a quiet corner of a conference room, hands clasped, eyes tired. Elena walked over and placed a coffee in front of her. Thank you, Elena said. Sarah swallowed. I was scared. I know, Elena said. You still chose. Sarah's eyes shined. She nodded. Marcus leaned against the wall near me, arms crossed. He watched Elena and Sarah, then glanced at me. You're going to pretend you're fine, Marcus said. I didn't respond. Marcus stepped closer, voice lower. "Kieran," he said, "you can win this and still lose yourself. Don't disappear into the hunt." My jaw tightened. I looked at him. Really looked. Marcus was loyal, sarcastic, and tired of watching me live like a locked door. "I won't," I said. Marcus didn't believe me yet, but he heard the effort. Elena returned to my side. Her hand brushed my wrist, light, deliberate. Consent. Choice. Warmth. "Come home," she said, not as a command, as a shared plan. 2 weeks later, my apartment looked different. Not decorated with romance, organized with intention. Elena's touch showed up in small ways, labeled cables the chaos turned into clean lines. My desk still looked like a war room, but now it had rules. She stepped closer. "Remember the game?" she asked. I held her gaze. "Elena," I said. She didn't look away. She didn't drop her eyes. She reached up and rested her fingers at my jaw's safe zone light pressure. "A question." I leaned in slow enough for her to stop it. She didn't stop it. Her lips met mine, brief, controlled, then deeper when she chose it. When we broke apart, she exhaled against my mouth like she'd been holding her breath for months. Not romance as survival. Romance as a decision. She pressed her forehead lightly to my shoulder, not collapsing, just resting. "I'm still here," she said. I wrapped one arm around her waist, firm, protective, present. "So am I replied. On the table, the blueprints waited. A future with edges you could measure. Outside, the night stayed quiet. And for the first time in a long time, quiet didn't feel like a threat.